we're discovering all things wedding, from Will You Marry Me to You May Kiss the Bride. I'm your host, Andrea. Welcome to the Bridal Club. Hi, I'm Andrea, and this is the Bridal Club podcast. I'm here with Justin. He's my very first guest. Justin is my best friend, my mentor, and my fiance. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Why do you look so tired?
Well, typical day in the life of an entrepreneur. Woke up earlier than expected, at like 5 this morning, and I've had a long day, back-to-back meetings, but I'm still happy to be here.
That's good. I wanted to bring you on this podcast because I want to share our love story, how we met, and just so people can know us a little bit better. And then also our wedding, because we're planning our wedding and we have very different perspectives, I think. Let's start with some questions that we got from our audience. And the first one, let's see. How did our relationship grow to where it is today?
Maybe you should say where we met.
No, we'll say it at the same time. All right? 1, 2, 3.
Match.com. So we met on Match.com. And why do you say yoga?
So back when we met, I feel like Match and meeting people online wasn't as normal, at least for me. It was super new. And I was going to yoga every single day. So whenever people were asking, I was just not afraid, but a little bit embarrassed of saying that I just met somebody online. But yeah, we met on Match.com.
So yeah, we met on Match.com, and she reached out to me.
Oh my God.
She blames it on her sister. She poked me or whatever it was back then. And we went on a first date relatively, well, actually the first date took a little while because I was number 3 on her list. Once that first date occurred, we went on more dates pretty quickly, and not too long after that, we were seeing each other every day.
Yep.
And yeah, that was 7+ years ago.
Let me tell my side of the story. So I needed to get out of the house a little bit more. And I remember my sister had met her significant other back then through Match. So she insisted that I create an account. I created the account, got a lot of messages, but back then, I don't know what it's like now, you couldn't review the messages unless you paid. And so my sister basically invited me over to her house, and we got to read all the messages that I had awaiting for me. We were just scrolling through the messages, scrolling through profiles, and then there was Justin, his murder face.
But there was no message from me.
No, okay, fine. There was no message from you. We were like, oh my God, this guy would definitely kill me. Let's go ahead and, is it a poke or a wink? It's a wink. So I winked at him. So yeah, that's how we met. My sister and I decided that his nickname was going to be Dexter because, as I said, he looked like he could possibly kill one of us for sure.
So any guys that like watch or listen to this podcast, apparently you need to look like a serial killer to attract a fine lady like this.
Oh my gosh.
But in actuality, if you review the pictures I had on my profile, I was smiling in multiple pictures.
I'll show you the pictures. I have them.
Well, yeah, so that was the beginning. As we discussed, that was over 7 years ago. And shortly after we were officially together, I went from a great job to leaving abruptly because I was tired of dealing with politics that weren't very good at all, to put it nicely. And so we went from a very normal relationship where we had a reasonable amount of time to hang out at night and on the weekends to within days I was on a mission to open my first business post parting with the big dealership group. And fast forward to today, and I've got 4 different companies. You and I have 2 companies between that we are co-owners on. You have your company. You've got this podcast launching. It's been a wild ride, but I don't think either one of us would be here today without each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would say it was hard for me whenever he started his business because he would come home late every single night, and I would typically have had dinner ready like at 7 o'clock. He would walk in the door, dinner was ready. I was working full time at the time, by the way. I had to reheat the meal so many times and just wait for this guy to come home, and I just couldn't stand it. I'm not somebody who would just sit down on a couch and watch TV. And I told my mom that I was gonna probably break up with him because I just couldn't keep it for longer, honestly. So then I started basically what my main company is today, which is bridal bouquet preservation. I started pressing flowers, and he would come home later, and I was not complaining at all. I was actually enjoying my time alone as well, because I was able to grow my company and work on the weekends on markets while I still had my full-time job. And yeah, I kept that for a few years until I was able to quit my job, and here we are now. I feel like we've learned so much of each other though, because we've been through so much. And as you said, with our businesses, not just within the normal relationship, but we've proven each other that we are just there to support each other, good, like regardless of what happens. Like, what do a typical day look like for us?
So we should probably start at night because everything kind of flows through to the morning, and I'm dyslexic, so I do things backwards anyway. So, but like back when I was getting my companies going, I refused to come home and just go straight to bed after I ate dinner. So I would, and even maybe before I started them, but anyway, we'd come home, eat dinner, and then I would watch TV, and then I would almost always fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
And
I always hated that routine, honestly. I mean, I do it because of you, because I cherish the time together more than going to bed early in a way. But go ahead.
we found out that if we don't go in there by about 2 o'clock in the morning, that one or both of us will be awake, and
Yeah.
one or both of us could still be awake in the morning because we have so many things going on.
And
And
sometimes we would just go somewhere and work. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there's been a lot of work done between like 2:30 in the morning and 5:30 or so in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, so assuming we do get a normal amount of sleep, I wake up usually between 6 and 7, and meditate for anywhere from 40 minutes to over an hour.
I'm meditating for 30 to 45 minutes or something like that. I'm trying. So I would say, sorry to interrupt you, but I will say one of the things that I've learned from him, I always said that his days were copy pasted because he has daily routines that I didn't necessarily have. I was more like, hey, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I will wake up whenever I want to, kind of thing, in a way. And then if I want to go to dinner with friends, I will do that whenever. And he's more of a copy paste guy. And so I have learned from you, obviously, to keep those habits going. And I do believe that they have helped me a lot to be here today. So, yes, meditation is one. You can keep going.
Well, and I'll just mention too there, like since when considering the type of audience we think we're probably going to have for at least this episode, the reason I do that is because I'm constantly reading, and one thing that a lot of really successful people have in common is a very consistent routine, at least during the work week. We knock out the meditation, we exercise together, and then we obviously get ready, come to work.
Yeah, I would say that we work in the meantime, though. We're always answering questions from our team members. We're always answering questions from vendors or, all kinds of different people, lawyers and accountants and stuff like that. So,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So the work starts as soon as the meditation stops,
Right.
basically.
Yep. Let me just tell you something real quick. The reason why we meditate is because it's helping us be like in the like the mindset that we need to be in every single day, because we deal with a lot of crap.
That's another thing about really successful people. One of the primary things they have in common is most of them meditate.
Yeah, and it's crazy. First of all, it's super hard. Like the first 3 weeks, you just have to get through them and just do it. So let's talk about our wedding. How did you propose? It was a big surprise to me when that happened. So you'll tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, so we had been together for a few years at that point. The thing that pushed me out as long as I did was being raised the way I was. I wanted to get my business to a point where I knew that if I proposed to someone, I would definitely be able to support the family. And eventually, I was just, ironically, it was when we went to look at your first location, your first business location. We went outside, and it was the sun was shining just right, and like I first like in a I'm kind of getting
Oh,
the
I guess
chills.
you are. It's
So
cute.
yeah, I don't know. It just like hit me. I was like, I'm just gonna say screw it and ask her. I'm gonna propose.
Screw it.
Screw the perfect timings. So
Yeah.
then I went on a secret agent mission to procure the best diamond, and
Yeah.
that took a while to get the ring made. So there's this restaurant that is known for they have a smoking appetizer. It comes out in a glass dome that's pulled off, and smoke billows out. Did all my, again, secret agent stuff, got everything coordinated so the ring would be hidden in the smoke.
He did that, and I was like, oh my God. And then I'm like, I'm upset. I'm mad that somebody had put a ring in the appetizer, because that's no joke to someone. That is so mean, right? And then I'm like, wait, what? Because again, we didn't talk about it, right? And he's somebody who does talk about everything, and he plans everything. So I didn't see it coming. It was perfect.
It was a little nerve-wracking for me there, like when she was like acting mad or disappointed, because I spent all this time and all this money on this ring, and she's looking at it like she's mad, and I'm like,
That just happened for like 2 seconds. By the way, I want to say that I wasn't mad. I was just like, oh my God, somebody's joking with me. But
2 seconds feels like 2 years.
so we have been engaged now for 2.5 years. We were engaged for 2 years before we started planning, and this is why I'm making this podcast, because everything wedding, I had no idea. I'm still very clueless, and we're about 6 months out from our wedding. I don't know very many things. We couldn't even set a budget because we couldn't find pricing on websites from a lot of the vendors, and things like that is just confusing for somebody. Like, you get married and then what happens, right? And so that is what I want this podcast to help other brides.
And maybe even grooms.
Yeah, grooms too. Honestly, that's a
You help
good
the bride,
point.
you help the groom.
I like that.
I have a friend who's an attorney, and he basically was like, as your attorney, I advise you not to just get married to get married. Like, obviously, we wouldn't be getting married to get married when considering our connection and all that. But what he meant was, don't just set a date and get married to get the wedding over with.
Okay.
On the one hand, on the other hand, he said, because it's, they say it's the bride's day.
Yes.
But he was like, again, basically, as your attorney, you need to enjoy it too.
Yeah, and he explained that. When you explained that to me, because again, our businesses go, all kinds of ways. But when you explained that to me, that was easier for me to comprehend. Like, okay, this is why he's not setting the date. My mind, of course, was like, why would he propose if we're not going to set a date? I don't want to be engaged forever, basically. But when you said that, I really appreciated it, because there's grooms who just want to know, where do I go, what day, what time, I'll be there. I don't want to have anything to do with the wedding, unless it's the day, on the day off, and you obviously wanted to have a little bit more input and everything, and feel right, and feel like you were enjoying a little bit more of the process.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about our wedding. What's the date?
11/11 of 23.
And why is that day important for us?
Well, 11/11 is apparently a lucky number, and I'm a numbers guy, and not only is it 11/11, it's 111123.
Yeah. So every time that we see the clock and it's 11:11, we've been doing this for probably as many years as we've known each other. Every time that the clock hits 11:11, we touch red. I have no idea why, but we touch red and we make a wish. And I've been making the same wish for like this long. And so 11:11 was a date that was amazing. So our wedding is going to be an intimate wedding. It's going to be what's considered a micro wedding, 25 to 30 people. And it's going to be, I always wanted it, and I think you did too, to be very detailed and overall like have a great time and an experience for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, what were you going to say, something?
Oh, well, I'm assuming you're going to follow that question up with more about.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and say something else.
Well, we're having it at my
Yes.
family, my granddad's lake house, and going to have a tent outside, and like she said, small, 25 to 30 people. I've got a lot of memories there at the lake house.
Ever
And
since you were a kid. Yeah.
yeah, and so I decided that for me to enjoy it as much as I could, I only had three requirements. Number one, barbecue, which is not traditional.
No, at all in Mexico? No.
We're in Texas. She's a Texan, technically born in Texas. I'm a Texan, son of the Republic of Texas. Barbecue, live music, and professional fireworks. That's one of the things that excites me.
You can have whatever you want. If you want your barbecue, we'll have the barbecue. And though that's not what I planned for my wedding, or that's not what I envisioned, and barbecue, eating ribs at a barbecue or at a wedding, I don't think is very classy. But that's okay. We'll give you your barbecue. So we're basically gonna have two caterers. We're gonna have the caterer from Hutchins. If you're in Dallas, you probably know who they are. Their barbecue is amazing. One of the things that, in something that Justin said, and not to offend anyone, is that we don't remember going to a wedding where you leave the wedding saying, "Oh my God, I loved the food. The food was amazing. I would like, if it were a restaurant, I would go back." And the presentations typically are amazing, but the time that they serve it is not, it's maybe cold, and so on. And so we wanted to remember. And by the way, my perspective changed now that I met my second caterer, because the food was really incredible, which I am so excited. So we're having the barbecue as the main entree, right? And then we're having vestals as they're gonna basically be passing apps and sides and desserts, and their food is amazing, like really, really good. I'm so excited.
And obviously, we're gonna have a bar and champagne, and
Yeah,
it's as
elevated.
as all of your primary viewers here know that you're very detail oriented, and
Yeah.
the wedding is going to be very very much the opposite of what one might expect when they hear barbecue at a wedding.
Barbecue and like a lake house tent, right? Yeah. Which I'm so excited. And obviously, we're working with Macy, our wedding planner. She is with Social Lama. She owns a company, and her company is as old as mine is, so almost 5 years this summer. And she's amazing. I just told her, like, hey, let's give the guy what he wants. Let's go with barbecue. Just elevate it, please, because we just have to meet somewhere in the middle. And then fireworks, that's something that you couldn't, like, it was non-negotiable to negotiate the numbers, to go down in the numbers of minutes. Fireworks are super expensive, by the way. Yeah. So Macy was like, can we do 2 minutes? I'm like, nope, Justin wants four, at least four. Can we do 3 minutes? Nope, four. So we're gonna have 4 minutes of fireworks. Okay, so just one quick advice for other couples.
One of the most important things we've learned is it's important to not force things, and gratitude is critical, like being thankful for each other.
Yeah.
No matter what, that, like, over those first few years when there was a little bit of drama about an engagement, or when the tensions were high, I would say things like, we are a team and our partnership is the most important thing. I have your back, you have mine, no matter what. That's the most important thing for any couple at any stage, whether you have a ring on your finger or not. Like, if you don't have that integrity, that bond, that we're on the same team and no matter what, then everything else is just fluff.
Well, mine was very short. It was basically the concise version of what you said. Support each other to win. And I really like what you said about it's like playing a sport, right? You're on the same team regardless of how the game's going, kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, well, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We have a lot more episodes lined up. We're first going to be interviewing our vendors, so you get my experience with them and how I've been learning about the wedding industry more so while I'm planning the wedding. And then I'm going to expand to vendors across the United States, because with my preservation business, we work with everyone. So it's going to be great. And I hope that you come see us again. Like and subscribe for more.